I am. I am a beginner. It was proven quite clearly to me at the last discourse. I tried to speak about being a beginner, and I didn't turn on the camera to prove the point that I'm a beginner. And so then I had to do the talk over again, and I didn't do as well as I did when I first recorded myself. And that is the case. It's difficult because you feel redundant, you are unable to capture certain truths. And since I'm doing this extemporaneously, and I'm in a sense winging it, just talking, I am unable to really know what I am saying, generally. So I get into a space where I just did it really well. What can I do it now? So I'm just a beginner. I'm a beginner at taping myself. I'm a beginner at speaking. I'm a beginner at doing this discourse, these thoughts. I've done them for a long time, and yet I am still a beginner. Does that mean I'm not learning or growing? Or in fact, I would say that I'm growing even more by calling myself a beginner, because I've now incorporated that mistake into my lexicon. And although I can't say I won't make that mistake again, I will, and I have looked at it and absorbed it, gotten frustrated with myself, gotten annoyed with myself, and at the same time, I cannot not make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. So I'm a beginner. I'm a beginner in so many things. Does beginning mean less than an expert, less than a expert or a master at something? I don't think so, but I'm sure that a master and expert does. They must and they would consider a beginner somebody who is lesser than them, who they then can lift up to their status of knowledge and accomplishment. So in a certain sense, I am in that relation with all the masters of the planet, and there are many. Every time I walk down the street, I see a master advertising themselves on the pole, or I see, and I go into a restaurant and I see a master sitting at a table. They have all their students around them, or they are coveted by the student to be in their mastership. But I do not. So I am a beginner. I am also unknown. There are few who know who I am. There are few who even care who I am. In a sense, that can be large in my mind, and in a sense there is no reason to have it be large in my mind. I still am creating. I still am throwing my creative works away. I still am doing these tapes. I still am throwing them away. I still am making music. I still am throwing it away. It is not for the world that I do this process of creation. It is for my own self. It is in this humble space of beginning and being unknown that I do and make and create. Because that is the truth. Even if everybody in the world knew who I was, what would that mean? The only thing that it could really mean is that those people would force me to do something that I didn't want to do anymore. That is mostly what happens when a lot of people know who you are. They know you from a certain moment in time, and then they restrain you in that moment. If you are not in that moment in time, then they ask you to be in that moment of time, so they pull you back. Even though you're still a beginner, or you're a beginner, or you're growing, or you're in this place, or you're no longer doing that, They want you to be the way they know and remember you as. And if they are just meeting you in this moment, then it is not possible for them to know you, since you are just meeting. So therefore they don't hold you in that spot, then therefore also they don't know you. So you are a beginner to them unless you prove your expertise. And if you prove your expertise, if you tell them you are an expert at this or a master at this, they will say how and why and who. And you will have to provide them with some past accomplishment to prove the fact. And thus you are back in the past. You are out of the process. You are no longer becoming. You are no longer growing. You are no longer I am. You are I was. And if you were, then are you now. So being unknown is not a negative. Being unknown is not worthwhile to a lot of people. People seek to not be unknown. But in actuality, being unknown is the most free place you can be. Because once you're known, then you are no longer free. So I seek always to be free. In beginning, I seek to be free in beginning, in being a beginner. Because then I can always make mistakes and continue making mistakes. As a master, you can't make mistakes. Because your acolytes, your students, your fans will point at it and say, look, you made a mistake. You're not as perfect as I thought you were. And they might blame you. They may castigate you. They may flagellate you. They may burn you at the stake. That is what happens to people who are known. If you are known for saying that there are planets outside this solar system, planets, maybe even an infinite amount of planets, maybe even an infinite amount of planets that could have life on it, then you are burned in the middle of the plaza in Rome, and people look at you and call you a charlatan, a fake, a fraud, because you say this and they don't know this yet. This is not a truth. This is nothing that has been proven yet. And therefore they cannot but look at their Bible and their Pope and say, you are a heretic. We will burn you at the stake. This is what happens to people who are known. They are burnt at the stake because they do not hold up to their past image. They are locked in to that past thing, and that's that for them. All the people in the world know them, therefore they are slaves to that which they know. Because you are no longer and can no longer be that which they know. Because you, if you are a creative and growing person, have changed. You have changed, I have changed the minute I've taped this. Once this is on, I'm gone. I am here now and I'm gone. When I look at it, it was a past moment. When I was talking about beginning and I am a beginner, that was a past moment. That was a past mistake. Today I have not failed to turn on the camera, and I am sitting here in bliss, in happiness that I am unknown, so that I can continue growing. There is nobody who is waiting for my next piece. There is nobody who is waiting for my next drawing. There is nobody who is waiting for my next dance. There is nobody who is waiting for anything I do. Therefore, I can do it with full freedom. I can make a mess. I can make mistakes. I can make out-of-tune notes. I can draw badly, according to some sort of criteria. I can dance strangely, whimsically, whatever I want. And that is freedom. So, I see, and I have seen in my life, that being unknown is not a negative thing. Being known is definitely something that could be harmful to a person's life. A person who is known, and I have had my moments of being known. I have had invitations to being very well known. There was the Academy Award. I could have been very well known. I could have used that. I could have walked around saying, I have won an Academy Award. In fact, it took me a long time to even say that. I found that it was something that came difficult from my mouth. I say it now, but it's still a strange thing to say. I don't even know what it means. Does it mean anything? In any event, I could have used that and pumped it around to people. Said, look, I won an Academy Award. Sit at my feet. Hold me in chains to that award and tell me what I should do for you. That I have won this award, and therefore I shower upon you the stars and the fabulousness of myself as I have done this. When I was in America's Got Talent, they wanted me to come back there over and over. I cannot even tell you how many times they asked me to come back on the show. I refused. I knew what they were up to, because I was an iconic, glowing being. I had showed myself to be very capable within a framework of interrogation to hold myself in elegance. So they knew that I had the gumption and the power to hold it in all of the notoriety. But they wanted to turn me into a clown, and not a good clown, because a clown is a wonderful being to be. A clown in order to hold me in servility for their show. I would dance around in my loincloth, sing in the way I did, and then everybody would do whatever they did, but it's so iconic blasting that it would hold the show in full splendor, let us say. They could use me to advertise themselves, because everybody, when they see me, remembers me. They don't know where I've gone. I'm a figment, perhaps, even. I'm kind of like Arjuna here, or like Shiva, or Hanuman. People have seen them, but they disappeared and they don't know where they are, so they have all these statues to them. Thus they are still. And again, as I say, they are not free. They're caught in these moments of being caught. And thus they tried to catch me on America's Got Talent. They almost did. I was almost ready to go back. And I said, if I go back, then I turn all of my accomplishment on that show into nothing. Because what I did when I was on that show was I proved the show to be a farce. And they didn't want that. They wanted the show to be less than that, to be something else. So there are so many little moments of what I could say is invitation to being known, invitation to fame, invitation to be a icon to the modernist society. And I have turned my back on it every time it's happened. As I said, if you are known, then you are a slave. It is only in being unknown that you can be totally free, that you can be totally yourself, and you can be totally open to all of the influences and energies that can move you in ways that are truly in the heart.